Welcome into That Damn Fantasy Show. I'm Paul Catalina alongside newly minted fantasy football expert Caroline Wolff.
Here I am. Ready
Caroline, I have medium news on my week.
Okay.
2-1, and the one I lost was a nail biter. It came down to Monday night, which was an awful game, 10-7 for fantasy football.
Terrible.
Awful. I had Jordan Love. He had Saquon Barkley. I kind of figured it would go that way, but it was like a 6-point defeat. So in that league, I'm in a tailspin in. An absolute crazy tailspin. But I still can make the playoffs. And if I can make the playoffs, then I feel like I'll be okay. So how are you doing this week? In your first week as an official fantasy football expert?
I have to report I won both. And I even beat the team who had Jonathan Taylor.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. They must have had nothing else.
They had some goods, but yeah, I don't know how. It came down to the Eagles game.
Yeah.
So I needed Josh Jacobs to score, I think, 20 points. And he did.
Okay. Well, he did a dumb thing later in the game, but it didn't cost you.
Or however many points he scored, I needed, and I won. It was great.
So let's talk about Jonathan Taylor for a minute. He is having an unbelievable year. He's probably the MVP right now in the league. If you are playing against him, odds are you're going to lose, except you the other day. Like the first thing when I was up, I'm probably going to get teased for this, but I don't care. We do it like once every 6 weeks. My wife and I were getting old mani-pedi. You know.
Oh yeah.
I gotta have, you know.
Well,
I gotta have good cuticles. I gotta have smooth.
My
feet.
dad gets them all the time.
Yeah, no, I don't know why like men are so afraid of it. I think they think they're like
You're not getting
automatically
them painted. You're just
like automatically you walk in and the lady's like, "What color do you want?" You're like, no, she's just gonna make your feet not disgusting.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, I have the smoothest feet in this room.
Yeah. You probably do.
Yeah, because I go and do that regularly. Now it's not cheap, but it's not expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's a necessary thing. It's like a haircut. You got to do it. You know, it's good for your health. So I was, I'd seen the first part of the game, and then I was just following along on my phone because I can't talk to my manicurist. She's Vietnamese.
Yeah.
She doesn't speak a whole lot of English.
You can talk to her. She just might not respond.
She's very sweet. Her name is Tina, but
See, of course it is.
yeah. And like, so we're there, and so I'm just, following along on my phone. And the first thing I did when I saw like the stat line come across the screen, well, I knew he was having a good game. I guess in transit of leaving my house before it was over and then sitting down right as it was ending, I didn't know how like huge it was. I was like, I immediately just went to all my teams and like, am I playing somebody who has him?
Yeah.
Because the losing streak I've been on across the board, I'd be like, oh yeah, all three leagues, they all have Jonathan Taylor and none of them did. And I was just like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
There you go.
Thank you, fantasy football Jesus, for answering one prayer this year.
I know. When I looked at the score, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was not prepared. But good news for anybody playing against him this week. They're on a bye.
They are on a bye. So if you have him, it's rough. But we don't really feel bad for you because he is putting up numbers. Crazy numbers. All right, let's jump into a couple things before we get into Caroline's starts and sits. Terrible news out of Jacksonville, which is something that quite often happens in Jacksonville. Just in general in Jacksonville, but for the Jaguars. First-round pick, cornerback, wide receiver, mostly wide receiver now, Travis Hunter, tore the LCL in his left knee in a non-contact injury. He's been on injury reserve. He had surgery. He is now out for the year. And this is a bummer for fantasy football. I was a victim of this. He had just had his first 2 really good games in a row. They had a bye week, and he got hurt in practice after the bye week. It was as bummer of a thing that's ever happened, but if you're a Travis Hunter owner, you're going to have to find someone to replace him.
Yeah, he gone.
Yeah. So that's a bummer. I'm a huge Travis Hunter fan. He was spectacular at Colorado, the defending Heisman Trophy winner, out for the year. Now, some good news.
Really?
Good news.
Good news?
I'm glad you put this on the thing because I would have totally forgotten about it because I didn't want the people in my league to realize I've done this. But I've picked up Joey B in 2 leagues and stashed him because he is now designated to return from IR. So
he could be there, right?
I mean, he's not going to play this week against the Steelers.
No.
He might play next week, but more likely I think it's Thanksgiving week that he plays. So if you have a spot, an IR spot or just a spot in your roster, and let's face it, at this point in the season, it kind of is what it is. I would pick up Joe Burrow if he's available.
Yep.
I did it.
Agreed.
I'm really happy about it. And because I think he's going to, if Joe Flacco can keep them on the fringe a little bit, then Joe Burrow is going to come back and try to get them in the playoffs. I mean, it's not going to happen right now, but man, you never know. He's going to come. He's not going to sit out the rest of the year unless they just go into a tailspin, but he's going to come back and play. I mean, he's going to do that. So that is really good news. I picked him up in 2 of the leagues, and the other one, that league, you know, we have an IR spot. So the person that had him was like, until you say he's out for the year, we just leave. You sit on my bench or you sit in IR.
Yeah.
I'll cycle through other people, but there are not this week, Caroline, a lot of interesting, like, go pick this guy up necessarily. They might be available. We'll get to one of yours in a minute, but I just kind of perusing, you know, what's available. There's not in the, you know, in the flex, you know, wide receiver, running back, tight end kind of area. I mean, if you see somebody that you think can help you and has a good matchup, just grab them. But there's nobody who's all of a sudden a starter. Now, I will say this was just announced this morning. Since Jackson Dart is in concussion protocol, Jameis Winston is going to start this week.
Oh, yep.
And Jameis Winston, if you, like me, have a bunch of injured quarterbacks, go ahead. I don't think you'd be bad off for putting him in. Go ahead and grab him and let it ride. Because it's probably a week or two, because Jameis is the Ricky Bobby of quarterbacks. It's first or last, baby. It is, you know, it's a touchdown or it's a pick six. So, but you're going to get, I mean, he's going to move the ball around the yard. So that should be interesting in New York this week with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Who my long-term goal is to have a podcast that we do that's produced by Garrett. We've already decided that. Last year's Super Bowl, we tried to get him on the show. We both chased his people around the convention center in New Orleans and could not get him, but it wasn't a no. It was a just wait till later. I got a couple. I don't know where he is right now, which is always good. Like I would bring him over, but I don't know where he is right now. Well, you tell him that Paul Catalina, class of 2002 at Florida State University, he would do it. We're both no's.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, Caroline. It's time for Caroline Wolff, fantasy football experts, starts and sits.
Okay, so we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Not a great week this last week.
Not the past 2 weeks, duds, but the matchup is why.
Yeah.
And they do play the Bengals.
Okay.
So I got that correct. And they have, I guess, allowed 8 straight quarterbacks to hit 15 points. And I guess through they played before. They played week 7, and he got 4 touchdowns, 22.6 points. So, I mean, he's set up to at least seem like he's going to do well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. Like, I mean,
I don't ever really like starting him.
He's a week to week. He's a matchups only guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be really just the main reason for that.
Yeah.
And then we have Tua, who they played the Commanders, which is not the best defense and probably the worst in the NFC. And they just made a coaching change.
The Dolphins? They made a GM change.
Okay.
They have not made a coaching change yet, but it's coming.
The court made a coordinator change of who the Commanders have, what do I say? Made a coordinator change with Dan Quinn taking over as the defensive coordinator for Washington. Yeah. So for who they're playing. So he's going against a good defense.
Yeah. Tua, I like the Tua start in a kind of week-to-week thing because the Dolphins have a lost season essentially. And, watching them against the Bills last week, they're playing like they have nothing to lose. And Mike McDaniel's going to get fired. So he's just emptying the playbook every single week. And Devin Achane is having a great season. And Tua, again, I know if you have a better option, start a better option than Tua. But as far as matchups go, and as far as, the way Tua's been playing, like, it's not spectacular, but in fantasy football, you don't need an all-pro quarterback to win. You're not trying to win the actual Super Bowl. You're just trying to get him to put big numbers up on your fantasy football screen. And he's been doing that. 20 points a week like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I almost scrapped him, but I have way too many quarterbacks on one of my teams. Jamison Williams, who I did play last week, and he did well.
He had a really awesome touchdown.
Yeah.
He
yes.
Scored. Yeah.
Second on the team in targets. He's been, the Eagles have been good against wide receivers, so kind of on the fence, but he's been doing well, and he seems to be getting targeted more now.
I'll also throw this out there. The Eagles traded for Jair Alexander, who is now taking some time off from the team, the cornerback, to think about his future in football. So finally, one of these trades that they made didn't work out for them in the short term. I mean, what's probably going to happen, he's going to take a couple weeks off, and then the Eagles are going to talk him back in to come in, and he's going to be unbelievable when he comes back. But Jameis Williams, I think, is on the way up. And I think this is an interesting matchup because the Eagles played well defensively against the Packers the last week, but they're a little bit streaky for a team that's as good as they are on either side of the ball. So
what do you mean 0-0 at the half? Wasn't it?
Yeah, especially the Lions are really good and prolific on offense. Dan Campbell's taken over the play calling there. So like Dan Quinn, like he took over the play calling as a defensive coordinator for the Commanders and was an elite defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. And then the Seahawks and a lot of other places he's been. And now you've got Dan Campbell, the Lions, he's taken over the offensive play calling, and they exploded last week.
Yes.
So I think you're going to see a lot more Jameis Williams and a lot more different people in that offense.
Agreed. And then Woody Marks, even though he's kind of been up and down.
I forgot to change this. This should have been the picture of Woody Marks. And it says
he's
Kyle
still going to play.
Guy.
Still, yeah. We can common on guy as a go. Okay. Mangione, whoever we'll call him.
Luigi Mangione.
Luigi Mangione.
You need to do the True Crime podcast on Luigi when that gets going.
Oh yes. Maybe when those get going.
We need to bring back Bloody Disgusting.
Yeah.
Bloody Disgusting was Caroline's true. Look, you can still go back and listen to old episodes.
We've got about 3 years worth.
Yeah, 3 years. If you're a True Crime fan, Bloody Disgusting. Yeah.
Bloody disgusting.
And I want her to do one on Luigi Mangione now, since
because I talk about him every week.
As a fantasy football superstar.
Apparently, who knew? But the Titans allow the second most points to running backs, and he's had double-digit carries last 4 games. So he seems to be working his way up the depth chart.
Would you like to know what won for me in one league last week? I picked up Davis Mills on Sunday morning. And he scored 30 points for me.
Oh, wow.
And going into the fourth quarter, he had like 6. And then they had this furious fourth quarter. And I was like, all right.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm hoping CJ Stroud comes back this week so I can get rid of him. But there's a very good chance that my starting quarterbacks in that league this week are Jameis Winston and Davis Mills.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very, it's better than 50 right now. So you have two sits. They're both on the same team. And I love your logic on this. So go into it.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes versus Denver.
Yeah.
Their defense is playing at a high level, so you have to lower your expectations for Mahomes. Because the Broncos have allowed the fewest passing touchdown points to opposing players. And the second fewest points to quarterbacks. Only 3 quarterbacks have got 15 points. So I know it's hard to bench him, but just putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it is very hard to do it. He's the best in the league, but also he sometimes has games where his fantasy numbers are kind of in the mid.
Right.
In the middle. Like he just, it just depends on the Chiefs are so good at beating you and figuring out a way to beat you when they're not doing well. But your other one is Xavier Worthy.
Yes.
And look, if you're going to bench Patrick Mahomes, you shouldn't play any of his wide receivers either. For the same reason, they're playing the same team, a very good defense.
Right.
Look, if you want to compare notes, at least statistically on an offense, you don't have to go back very far. A couple weeks ago, Dallas was there and got completely shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Completely shut down, and their offense is prolific. Another note on Broncos and Chiefs, I don't know if he's a start, but if you have him, you might consider it, is R.J. Harvey, the rookie running back, because J.K. Dobbins is at least going to miss this week. I think they've gotten better news on his injury that he has, but I don't think he's playing this week after he got hurt in what they call a hip drop tackle last week that they didn't call.
A hip drop tackle.
Hip drop.
Okay. That's a new one.
It's where the defender essentially drops their hip on the leg of the offensive player. It's illegal, but it's hard to. I think it's kind of hard to see in real time for officials.
Oh,
so
I would not know.
it's what ended Jordan Travis's career at Florida State. So I hate the hip drop tackle.
Well, I hate it too.
Yeah, no, it's scary. It's a bad thing. But anyway, I do think that sometimes like all these rules, like there's ghosts of old NFL players that were like, so you broke a guy's leg, so what? Like they signed up for it, and they're like, oh no, that we don't let them play with concussions anymore. Like, who needs to know the alphabet?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
it's fine.
That is our starts and sits this week. Caroline, do you have any? Are you stressed about your lineup at all?
No, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Would you play Dak Prescott
against the Raiders on Monday,
Jacoby Brissett, or Joe Flacco?
I would play Dak.
Okay.
The Raiders are not good. They are not good. And they'll be full strength on offense after the bye. Now, do I expect that game to be fun to watch? No, I do not. It's 2 not very good teams. But I do think he'll put up some numbers.
Okay.
I think CD and Jake Ferguson and George Pickens are all good starts there. Javonte Williams is probably a really good start there. So any Cowboys, I would play them for sure this week against the Raiders, who are, I mean, it's 2-7. So what are you afraid of if you're playing against anybody who plays the Raiders? I would start your guys against them.
Easy. Okay.
So yeah, I would start Dak. Dak, outside of that Denver game and one other, he's putting up numbers.
Yeah.
It's not the offense's fault that they stink. It's not. So, and I expect it. I'm curious to see how the team is doing collectively after they suffered a terrible tragedy with the suicide of Marshawn Nealon last week. But yeah, I can't even imagine like having to go back and play games after something like that.
Yeah.
But they are where they are. But yeah, I would play Dak. I think he's going to have a very, very good game against the Raiders.
Okay, good.
I think he is.
All right.
So anyway, all right.
And I will say, I am glad that George Kittle decided to show up.
Yes, he's finally playing. He's finally
Thank you.
playing.
He was listening, I think, to the show.
You've been waiting.
Yeah, I have.
Waiting very patiently.
Very. His
hair has gotten much longer in this time he's been off.
Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know what I hate as a fantasy football owner? This is the last thing we'll talk about. Like when you play fantasy football and you see a guy who's on your team that's hurt, but he's in like every third commercial, like George Kittle is. Like he's in all those Little Caesars commercials. And it happened to me a couple years ago with Kyler Murray, where he was in a commercial that they were playing a little bit. And I had him on my roster and he got hurt like right away. And I was like, I was like, look, I'm not mad at Kyler Murray. I'm just mad that I have to see him during this game where I'm losing this game. But if I had Kyler Murray, I might be winning. And if you're somebody who drafted George Kittle, you've likely had to go to a tight end who's not even near as good as George Kittle to play in that spot. And then here he is, like, riding a deer and telling you to eat cheap pizza.
Well, that's why you just watch Red Zone and you don't see those commercials.
That's true. That's true. That's true. We were talking about Red Zone before the show. And if you are, I don't know what service you have, but if you're in a battle, if you're in the YouTube TV thing, you are?
Oh, yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Well, yeah. What am I going to watch? Yeah.
Okay. What'd you go to, out of curiosity?
Fubo?
Yeah.
Fubo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard good things, so.
I mean, it has Red Zone.
Yeah.
And that's literally all I watch.
Okay. Well, there we go. So, yeah, that's, I don't know how, like, it's so stupid that you have to, we have these, huge fights.
Well, you got to watch, got to have Prime to watch Monday nights, right? Yeah. And then I don't know. Some of them are on Peacock.
You have to have Peacock to be able to watch Sunday nights. You have to have Netflix to watch several games.
Yeah.
You have to have ESPN to watch Mondays. You have to have, all these different services to watch anything, and it's ridiculous. And here's the thing: the people that are making those decisions don't give a crap about their customers. They're just trying to get more money, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, stand up in the fight against YouTube TV or ESPN, Disney," and you're like, "No, you guys are two gigantic corporations.
Yes,
I don't care which one of you feels like you win in this thing, because I'm still going to get screwed. So just figure it out and tell me how much money I owe you and try to save me some money, but you won't."
You don't worry. YouTube will give you $20. You just have to go figure out how to get it from them. They won't just automatically credit it to your account. Really? Something like that. There was some amount. I was like, no, you've already lost.
It's just so, I mean, it's like asking me to cheer for King Kong or Godzilla. They're both destroying the city, man. I can't. I'm not here to be like, oh, well, at least the gorilla doesn't shoot fire out of his mouth. That's what we're splitting hairs on. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yep.
That's going to do it for that damn fantasy show. I am Paul, alongside fantasy football expert Caroline Wolff. That's going to do it for us. Good luck and have a great football week.